Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Ryan Malo. We hope you enjoyed today's movie discussion. Thanks for listening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club. My name is Tim Larson here with a whole full group here to talk about movie number 224. This is Mike Whildin's pick. He has picked something that related to the last series of movies we had. He connected to his own movie. We watched Toy Story 1 in the last round, and we just watched Toy Story 3 here from 2010. Mike Whildin, the show is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I was kind of excited to watch this. I hadn't watched it for a while, and I know that a lot of you hadn't seen it. So, yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I personally think that regardless of Toy Story 2, I'm not saying Toy Story 2 doesn't need to be there. It's great, of course, as well. But I do think that this is also just a very good sequel to the first one. I don't have the wheel ready, so I am just gonna say, Malo, let's hear from you. Tell us what you think.
Right. So I had seen this before, saw it in the theater. I'm almost positive. And I remember really, really liking it and having an emotional reaction. Like, it was significant. I think I'm now a cold, heartless bastard because that reaction was not there this time. I was expecting it, and I don't know. It's quality, obviously. Really well done, and I love the whole like time jump, and that whole thing. But I guess I don't know. I missed the first time around, or didn't pay as much attention, but how much they trimmed down the crew. And I get it from a storytelling perspective, but I don't know. It also kind of affected me a little bit. I have a whole box of Transformers and He-Man, different boxes up in my attic right now. The Star Wars and the GI Joes were given away years ago, but I don't know.
Are they currently up there hanging out watching TV?
I hope, man. I hope. If I wanted to put more effort in, I contemplated going up there and getting them and bringing them out and doing that whole thing, and but clearly
that's
didn't.
just cruel, Mail, to have that stuff up there with nobody to play with.
They're having the time of their lives.
Are they in a garbage bag? Did you put them in a garbage bag?
Actually, they're in an attic in Tampa. They're fucking frying. No, I don't know. It was there's a lot of this that I remembered a fair amount. I shared that text with the whole lots of love bear thing and the parallels to what is it, Walking Dead, that are kind of fun. I don't know. I'm trying to figure, like, I've been thinking about it for 2 days of this moment, what I was going to say exactly. And I don't know why it hit different, but it did. And I think it reflects a little more on me than the film, because like I said, the first time through, like, it really hit, like, especially the ending, him playing with them all one last time kind of thing was really cool. And I got it this time, but it didn't hit like it did the first time. So I don't know. I remember the whole, the hand holding scene being much more significant the first time through. And again, this time it was just going through it. But I don't know. I respect what they did. I appreciate it. I don't know. I need a little more time, I guess, to process. So hopefully you guys can help me out with that. But that's my very quick version was, um, yeah, I recognize it as significant and appreciate very much what they were going for, but for whatever reason, the second time or third time through, didn't hit as much. I went back to look at the year to see if it had anything to do with my kids, and I don't think it did because it was 2010. Like um, they're kind of at that age now, 20 and 18, basically, where I don't know, they're probably having those feelings if if they're packing up stuff in college and all of that for former toys. Um, so I don't think it was that connection that was more significant then as opposed to now, but maybe. Anyway, sorry. I feel like it's kind of lukewarm on the whole thing to lead things off, but that's where I'm at.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Ryan Malo has self-confirmed he is a cold, heartless bastard.
So,
No, I kind of so the ending still got me. The hand-holding thing going toward the molten lava, I still felt was significant. There were other parts of the movie for me that hit a little different too, I think. For me, I uh I was basically I was college age when this movie came out. I was in college when this movie came out. So, and then the first one came out when I was roughly Andy's age. So, that was kind of I always had that little relation to it. So, I think I always had a little special place for it because of that. But yeah, there were certain parts of I guess there were certain parts of it that I was kind of like, huh, I remember enjoying some of this more last time. But the big parts still got me, and especially the end. Um, Question for you and question for everybody in the group here. Last time, it felt like a lot of people were not a big fan of Woody just as a character. Does this movie redeem him at all, or does everybody still kind of feel the same way about him?
yeah, I thought about that uh, going into this because I remember the first time through, like I was all about Woody, and then the last time we watched Toy Story, I was like, man, there's some stuff that um, that popped up that is more selfish than I remember. And I think John Lasseter, right? Is that the guy's name who wrote these? He spoke at our church years ago, and he talked about that whole thing and how Woody was basically him, and the selfishness and all of that. I definitely saw him more as a team player consistently through this. So, yeah, that's my take.
Anybody else on that?
Well, I know last time I was pretty rough on him. um, he was definitely better. I mean, he still had his um, and watching this and liking this a lot. And I'll get to that. He still had that, and I don't know if it's there. I didn't watch two, like I said I was gonna. The we're here for Andy kind of thing. It was much more of a I need to leave for Andy. It wasn't like I need to get Buzz out of here, so I'm with Andy. So it was way better. I don't think he came off as conniving, selfish dick at all in this one. Where in the first one, I thought he was pretty terrible. Um, so yeah, but I'll talk more later.
There is actually a fan theory out there that suggests that Woody and Lotso actually have a lot of things in common in terms of the way that they kind of run things within their toy group, I
Yeah.
suppose, and then also just the tendency for jealousy, the one like he wants to be the one in charge all the time. I read about that and was like, I could see it, but that Lotso feels like he's somebody who Woody was in the past, and since then he's kind of grown and evolved. a little bit, but I kind of agree with Aaron a little bit is that Woody, he's grown a little bit, but he's got some moments in this where it's like you're not doing this for them, you're doing this for you so you can get back to Andy so you can go to college with him, not all the other people. All the other people are going into the attic. So, yeah.
But I do think he was offered like, kind of a paradise, going to college with Andy. And he, tried to help the others, by trying to get them out. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of selfishness with him in that. But I think his heart was in the right place in trying to help the others.
Anybody else on that?
I don't remember people giving Woody shit the last time, so I don't know that I could really help you out here. I don't actually remember that part of the conversation. I think he's cool.
Dan, did you just compare him to Schindler with the trying to get them out comment?
Whoa.
Schindler,
Schindler's List.
Who's Schindler? Oh,
Considerably different movie.
Sorry.
no, I did not.
He could have done more.
He could have done more.
Yeah, he could have done more. Yeah.
Ryan, why you gotta be spoiling the movie that I'm gonna pick in a couple weeks? God, what is this?
You shouldn't have told me you were gonna pick it.
Well, last time I tell you anything.
So on that note, Hilty, you're up next. Tell me what you thought of Toy Story 3.
So this movie hits the sweet spot for me, kind of similar to Whildin, because I when this was released, I not only was just out of college, but I also had moved to California, so I did have to pack up all of my stuff, and there were some things that had to go and some things that I took with me. So plus I remember watching the original Toy Story in theaters and being super excited about it. So that end part got me good. Um like I cannot remember the last time I cried in theaters that much as just watching that part. The ending where you think that they're going to die even though it's a Pixar movie. They're not going to die. You know, unless, well, that would make sense because Pixar has a tendency to kill people and just make you really, really sad about it. They did it in Up. It's like, oh, that's nice. You've destroyed every concept that I have of love. So thanks, thanks,
Right.
Up. Appreciate that.
In the
But
first 2 minutes of the movie.
exactly. But I I like this. I like Toy Story and I like the trilogy as a whole. And I'm kind of reconciling my thoughts a little bit because I know this doesn't have anything to do with Toy Story 3 specifically, but to me, the existence of Toy Story 4 kind of ruins Toy Story 3 a little bit for me because that I think if they would have kept it at the three movies, and I realize that capitalism is a thing and that if these movies are going to make bank, which they normally do, they're going to go ahead and do them. I think the way that they handled things in Toy Story 4 kind of ruins things a little bit for me with Toy Story 3. And I think that's where I can't speak for Melo, but that's kind of where I'm at and why I looking back at this because I've seen this movie a zillion times and I watched it again this weekend and knowing that a Toy Story 4 is out there and these movies kind of have like a diminishing return on them because the first one's fantastic. The second one is, one of the best sequels of all time. And then I enjoy this one a lot, but the fact that Toy Story 4 exists kind of makes this story not feel as significant anymore.
This would have been a perfect ending, and we all thought at the time that it was the perfect ending.
It
And
should have
I
been
think that's
the ending.
yeah.
And if anything, if they did want to do a Toy Story movie, they should have just started over. But they didn't. And instead, they did a Toy Story 4 where they I think one of the things that I think they took as feedback is that um the Bo Peep's absence in this to me also felt feels pretty big. And
Yeah.
I read a couple places, it's a combination of a couple things. Annie Potts wasn't available, which is horseshit because what's Annie Potts doing in 2009? That's like, oh, that's right, you were in that. My mistake. But I also read that if they had that end sequence in mind already where they're in the trash incinerator, that porcelain is not going to survive any type of trash incinerator, even if you're just kind of adjacent to it. I read that and was like, well, that's a bit of a cop out, but also that also makes a lot of sense. So, okay, I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. But Bo Peep's absence in this, I think that was like one thing in particular that I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. You tried to replace Bo Peep and tried to give Barbie more to do, which way to go, Mattel. You done fucked up in the first Toy Story and by not having giving Barbie a bigger role because you're like, oh, this isn't a good idea. But now that these movies have made like a ton of money, and I'm sure they sold a ton of toy products as well. Um, Barbie has a bigger role and Ken has a bigger role, or Ken has a role, period, in this. So um, they try to replace a little bit of what Bo Peep does with Barbie, and I just wasn't having it. I was like, I'd rather have Bo Peep back. Um,
Healthy question, real quick. Just a reminder, who was supposed to be Barbie in the first one?
what do you mean?
Like, wasn't there like a role that was like cut out for Barbie in the first one and they just like couldn't clear it or they decided not to? Like,
I can't
wasn't there
remember.
a character that was supposed to be?
I think Barbie was supposed to be in it, period. And Mattel
I
was
see.
like, no, 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 we can't do that.
Gotcha. Okay,
Um,
my apologies. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. And then the second, like another part of this as well is that as we've kind of progressed in this story as well, Buzz becomes less and less of a character. And that's something that I'm not a huge fan of as well, because I can't remember if like Disney and Tim Allen were fighting at the time, but Buzz has less and less of a role and he's relegated more to a sidekick. And I'm not a huge fan of that because original drafts of this also were supposed to be that Buzz was supposed to be recalled and it was supposed to be a rescue mission, but they thought it was too similar to Toy Story 2 and they pivoted and now it's a prison break movie. And I don't know. I like Buzz as a character, and I think Buzz gets the most to do in the first one, and then doesn't get as much to do in the second, third, or fourth one, for that matter. So it sounds like I'm shitting all over this movie, and I kind of am, but I still really enjoy this movie. But um, this this would have been the perfect ending to this particular group of people or group of characters, but Pixar or Disney, I'm not saying Pixar did it, but Disney was like, nope, we got to make another one. And now they're making another one about toys in the digital age. And I'm not sure how I feel about that either, but it's probably going to make a shitload of money because these characters make a ton of money and they're probably going to make a lot of money off of the video game or the digital toy tie-in too, which I can't stand, but whatever. Man, I'm starting to sound like Malo now. Jeez.
Yeah, you're like a
So
get off my lawn kind of guy right now.
but I can't deny that when I saw this, I was a mess when I saw this. And also it's interesting because this was I saw this in 3D as well, and I normally don't like seeing things in 3D, but it was the only showing that was available for us to watch, and I even enjoyed it in 3D as well. So the I this this trilogy is among one of my favorites of all time, and I am dinging it a little bit because of what comes after this, which I know isn't exactly fair, but I'm trying again, I'm trying to kind of reconcile, kind of similar to Melo, as to why I still like this, but also it just doesn't hit as much as it does before.
Okay. Um, I've always like I kind of have that thing sometimes, especially with TV shows. Like you said earlier, this is a Prison Break movie. The show Prison Break, I was a really big fan of, or at least the first couple seasons. So to me, I always kind of separated it in my mind. I'm like, all right, so there's what they put out, but if I got to decide, I would say that officially the show ends just before the end of season 2 when when they set up for season 3 and everything. Like, nope, that's the end of it. And then
Sure.
everything else that comes is just like, I don't know, some alternate reality, whatever. Um, with this movie, well, this series of movies in particular, I agree as far as Toy Story 4 taking a little bit away from it, but I do have a little bit of a sentimental connection to Toy Story 4, which is when I was little, there was just a childhood friend of mine and I got to go and see the first Toy Story in theaters, and we went to like I think Burger King beforehand. They got like whatever kids meal toys that were Toy Story themed, came with it. My mom took us to that. And so when Toy Story 4 was in theaters, that friend reached out. I hadn't seen him in years, and he reached out and said, "Hey, how about we take your mom to go see Toy Story 4 and then go to Burger King afterwards?" And I was like, "That sounds great." And so we did that, and it was just it was a special day for all of us. So I, from a creative standpoint, yeah, I wish that Toy Story 3 had stopped here,
Yeah.
but or that Toy Story series had stopped at 3, but I do have a sentimental connection to Toy Story 4 for personal reasons. So I'm kind of like, man,
And in addition to the ending, two things I will give it credit for as well is that, in addition to the prison break aspect, which I thought was really cool, I think Lotso is a pretty terrifying villain, considering all the other villains that they've had before. In the first one, Woody's the villain, pretty much. The second one, it's a human who's trying to break all these people up, but they kind of also mask in Stinky Pete as the prospector as the villain. But Lotso is pretty high up there in terms of the villain, and also just with each Toy Story. I know it's not very groundbreaking to say that the animation gets better because I mean, Jesus, the gap between this and the second one is what, 10 years or so.
like that.
So yeah, the animation's going to get better, but that doesn't change the fact that the animation's pretty spectacular as well.
Yeah, the human beings in this especially are a lot less scary looking. But speaking of terrifying villains, I know that he doesn't remain a villain, but the baby doll, ugh.
That's pretty messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Hilty?
No.
All right, Dan Sears, let's hear from you.
Okay, this is the first time I've seen Toy Story 3. I've seen 1 and 2, but this is the first time for 3, and that's all I've seen. This is a trilogy. So I guess I'm glad I haven't seen 4 by what Hilty's saying. So maybe they'll be on the future here, but
Four isn't bad, but you know what? I'm just gonna stop talking. Never mind.
they should have ended it. I think that would have been a fitting ending that they fell into the fire at the end and died, and then that was it. It was over.
I had
I
a,
mean,
Yes,
I,
might
Dan.
sound
I,
crass, but
All right.
I had a,
What is this
there's a,
Schindler's List? Like, what is happening right now?
I had
Oh,
a friend of mine that told me that if they had ended the movie that way, that it would have won an Oscar. And I don't know if I agree with that, but it was a funny comment at the time when he said it.
yeah, I agree with Hilty. It would have been, they could have ended 3 there and then started all over with some new characters for another Toy Story in the future. But anyway, sorry, I got my notes. I watched this last Monday, so it's been a minute. Um, but let's see here. In Americana, I think the Old West character is very it's held up high in American life, and I think that's one of the reasons that Woody is the leader of the group. Um, let's see what else we got here. Um, you know, I mean to throw I know of course it's animated, but to throw a human thing in here, you put toys into an attic, and of course they have no terror, but when you relate that to a human being, you throw human beings away, then they have no purpose, they have no control. So I wonder, if they were trying to go with some type of real human element in this and not just animation.
That's
That's
that's what the fourth Toy Story is about, Dan. Just all these toys just sitting in the attic for, the alternate reality where they're all just sitting in the attic and it's just a black space for an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Hmm. And I don't know if this was brought up
It's a
in the first
concept piece.
discussion, but what was that, Tim?
It's a concept piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it made $1 billion. So now Pixar is just going to keep doing it again and again.
Yeah. And I wonder if the story would have been different because I know they rewrote this when it was going to be, the Disney had their animation because they had the conflict with Pixar. So I know it was a different story, and then they rewrote it once Pixar came in. They bought Pixar. I don't know if they, Hilty, I don't know if you know if they ever released anything about what the story was going to be, or
If you don't mind me jumping in, Mike, I did read something where they were going to have Andy go to his grandparents' house and then kind of do a murder mystery type story where the toys were disappearing and there were two new toys that were going to be introduced, and then they had the idea that the Buzz getting recalled to Thailand, and then they were going to have to go to Thailand. And
That would have been just far too crazy of a thing because even even some of the shit that they pull in the fourth Toy Story movie is like, really, really, that's it's a kids movie, I get it, but I will give the fourth movie credit because Duke Boom is just an all-time character. But yeah,
Keanu Reeves is an all-time just human being.
but Brian mentioned the Taiwan storyline. That's the only one that I knew about. I didn't know about the other murder mystery one, but I think they kind of tried to pull something like that with there was a short that they did where there was you know I think toys disappearing and they were trying to figure out what was the culprit of that, and that was fun, I guess.
right. One thing I always wonder in these Toy Story movies, I don't know if was brought up in the first discussion, but where is the father in all of this? You see the mother, you see his sister and Andy, but you'd never see the father. I was always curious about that.
Kind of a classic Disney trope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some speculations as to why they did that. And then at one point there was somebody who worked within the industry who said, "I know this stuff about the dad," and gave a whole scenario. And one of the writers was like, "Yeah, I was there. That's not what it is at all." So it's interesting that people like to talk about it, and it's also interesting that the writers are like, "I'm not going to tell you why I didn't have a father in here." I like that.
Wasn't it just because like it would have costed a lot more to animate another person?
I'm sure that's
I've read
Could
that as well. That
for
they
the in
just having
'95 could be
yeah,
sure.
in 95 having another adult human to animate would have been more difficult after they're animating all the toys and stuff.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked about this last time. That's why Andy's mother has Andy's face. It's just
That's right.
Andy's
yeah,
with long, stringy hair.
right.
Doesn't
But I mean,
cost
that
anything
explains.
to explain in words where they are, though.
That's what I'm saying. That makes sense in 1995, but in Toy Story 2 or 3 or 4, well, 4 is probably a different scenario. I haven't seen that one, but they could have explained it if they wanted to retrospectively. They just didn't, and I bravo to them for just hanging with it.
Okay. Um, you know, I think I like the first one better of the three that I've seen. Like number one the best. But I mean, this one definitely has a different and a darker tone to it, I think than the first one. Um, let's see. A little trivia. Buzz Lightyear was supposed to be called Lunar Larry, and they changed the name to Buzz Lightyear to honor Buzz Aldrin.
Hmm.
And supposedly Buzz Aldrin was going to sue them for doing that, but then he thought better of it.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, you do something to honor him, and then he's pissed off about it.
He's a fiery
But
guy.
Gonna say, doesn't that kind of track with who Buzz Aldrin is?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, he's I've seen him very upset many times.
I'm imagining like a daughter going, "Dad, just don't do it. Just don't. I get it, but just don't. Trust me, don't do this time."
Yeah. Um, we were talking about the Lotso character there for a minute. I think it's a rare thing in a kids movie to have a character like Lotso without any hope. I mean, he's just permanently scarred. I put down that he has PTSD. So I think he's permanently scarred and he just has no hope of ever being, a normal toy, I guess it would be. Um, and I thought this was interesting in all three of these movies. The toys are older toys. They're the Slinky dog and from the 70s and 60s. Barbie was originated way back then.
Licensing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the first thing I thought about. There's no Mario Brothers or um, Xbox or anything like that, and I
Transformers,
figured,
G.I. Joe,
Hmm.
Thundercats. I mean,
That also contributes to the theory that all the toys were Andy's dad's. That's a popular online theory as well. That's
oh,
why
okay,
he holds on to them because his dad is gone. And
I
oh
do th
wow.
I do think I remember us covering this last time. And we can check the podcast, right? We can go back into the archives and look it up.
everyone
But
but Dan.
I think
I
he
mean,
could.
I,
but
I
He
wasn't here for
could.
the first discussion, so I
Oh,
probably
fair
should have
enough.
listened to the to it.
I
Yeah.
mean, Tim admitted that he doesn't remember it either because he didn't listen to the episode either. So I get it. It's all good.
What the hell? Why? Oh, so anyway,
I'm just bringing up
my
the thing that you said
uh-huh, yeah,
before.
yeah. Why don't you bring yourself up over there later? Um, my point is, I think I remember us talking about if we're going to have a kids movie and we would like the parents to be interested in it, let's use older toys to get the parents to have a nostalgia thing. I think
That
I
sounds
remember
right.
us taking the conversation that way.
Okay. But yeah, I've been wanting to watch this for a while, and I'm glad that I watched it to complete the trilogy. So thank you, Mike Whildin, for doing that.
Glad you enjoyed it. Since we just brought up the toys, Dan and then everybody else, was there a toy in your childhood in particular that you had trouble letting go of? Melo, I know you're pretty ready here.
I still have Optimus Prime upstairs. Like he's it's,
Nice.
I had a toys called Dino Riders, which was like a 80s, 90s. They made like some movies and it was pretty cool. Yeah, I had a hard time when mom and dad put those in the garage sale.
I love Dino Riders.
Yeah, they were great.
Those
Yeah.
were awesome.
I honestly didn't have a whole lot of toys
This
because
explains so much.
it was like sports equipment and stuff like that, and I parents didn't buy too many toys for me, so I
Evil
cannot
Knievel,
recall. Nope,
Dukes of Hazard.
never had any of that stuff.
I still have all my Star Wars figures. Lost my He-Man. That was a big one. I had a decent collection of He-Man. I had Castle Grayskull, but they took up a lot of room. They were a lot bigger. Um, and then uh, Transformers and GoBots. I didn't segregate them. They were all just they battled together. and I never had like Optimus Prime or anything, um, but they all kind of went together at the same time. And it's like you're in middle school now. It's time to get rid of these. But I don't know how I kept the Star Wars figures. If I don't think I consciously hid them or anything. I think they knew. It's like, all right, these ones, he's not going to get rid of. But yeah, everything else pretty much went. But um, yeah, I like the Star Wars figures, and I remember the decision of He-Man and the He-Men, the Masters of the Universe, all going. You know,
I had my brother got after having kids pretty early, and so I didn't really get to the point where it was time to move on because my mother just told me that the nieces and nephews are now playing with the toys. Like that decision was taken out of my hands. But it would be Star Wars guys for sure, or maybe even at a higher level just for something that I would want to do. It's the Legos. Like if you put Legos in front of me right now, I would start playing with them and just check out of life and go build something. There was something about that that I really enjoyed.
yeah, I had like a case of paper size box. It was just a cardboard box, and my sister's kids got that was full of Legos. My sister's kids got those from me. They're going to the grandkids now.
Mm.
Okay, that seems
Yeah.
fair.
It's
My life is sounding pretty sad right now that I really didn't have any toys.
Yeah.
well, it's good to hear you say it, Dan, because we all thought it a minute ago.
Acknowledging it is a big
That's
step.
step number one. That's right. That's right, Aaron.
See, Brian, you got
I felt
anything
an
on that?
intervention coming for you, Dan, pretty soon. Like we can, hey, little buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can
G.I.
have my
Joe.
Jawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's.
G.I. Joe is a big toy line that I really enjoyed going along with cartoon, but I also had older brothers who were dicks and like to destroy shit to see how I'd react to it. So
Just SIDS.
that the Sids, yeah. By the way, and is that a Sid cameo, the garbage man?
I have heard that
Ooh,
theory as well.
Right.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Since you mentioned Sid Melo, I thought I'd throw that out there.
I think it's all but confirmed, right? I mean, it's got the same T-shirt.
His behavior is consistent, right?
Yes, very much so. I mean, the Legos were kind of in the same boat that Star Wars toys were in with Aaron, because if I feel like if my parents got rid of my Legos, they knew that I'd be pretty upset. So they're now all sitting downstairs. But the ones that the
Nice.
ones that I got rid of that were sad to me. I had a lot of Ghostbusters toys because I was like a really big Ghostbusters, like the real Ghostbusters, the animated series, and I had like the old school what is it, the Firehouse. So I really like that, and then also my Sega Genesis when we finally got rid of the Sega Genesis, that really broke my heart, even though I'm terrible at Sonic the Hedgehog and such.
There's an inside joke there. I'll tell you guys
I think I've
later.
heard that story.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the Legos for sure. Obviously I had a lot of dinosaurs as a kid, which I know are still somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, but like, a lot of the Jurassic Park toys too. Uh One that I'm a little I think if there was one that I kind of like, I guess regret not taking more care of and like trying to make sure that I held on to was probably the Power Ranger toys. I
Which
I
version?
still like the original where like you like pull down on the belt and their head flips to
Yeah.
morph. I had that's probably the biggest one, and I had like all the different like monsters that went with it and everything, and there's still a few of those stored away somewhere, but a lot of them are either missing or broken, and it's just kind of a mishmash of plastic and little screws. But yeah, I good fun. All right, so it's been a while. Brian, what did you think of Toy Story 3? Welcome back.
Thank you. I have a kid, so saw Toy Story 3. A kid who I made watch lots of Disney movies and animated movies through her life, and
Like, hey,
more for me.
it sounded like you were setting up for an excuse there. Hey, I have a kid, so of course I saw this. And then the
Oh
next thing you
no,
said is I made them watch
yeah,
the Disney
yeah, it
stuff.
gave me
I'm
the
sorry. Go
excuse.
ahead. I'm sorry, Brian.
Gave me the excuse to have them on DVD and such.
There you go.
Um, I was not a huge fan of this one because Woody, the idea that Woody would want the toys to go to Bonnie, I just don't buy it. Woody's the most loyal toy there was, and
Hmm.
he wouldn't want them to go somewhere. Even though he got a taste of being with Bonnie and she's a nice girl and treated her toys really good, he would do whatever it took to stay with Andy. And I would have actually bought it more if he wasn't in the box and he
Hmm.
went to college and the rest of the toys went to Bonnie. So, uh, but besides that, obviously, good movie. Pixar does great things. The Toy Story line's good. It just, for me, the ending, and I've heard people, someone who was talking to was like, "Oh, I teared up during that," and it's like, "How? I don't get it." It's going off to school and playing with kids, and I have a heart, all those things. I feel emotions. I don't get that. So, um, yeah, for me, it was, I don't want to say it
That's
wasn't
worse than
believable.
Dan not having toys.
But yeah,
Counterpoint, is it?
uh,
Fair, fair, debatable.
Also, by the
but
way, Hilty, I'm with you on the Sega Genesis. I do still have mine somewhere though.
but yeah, it's the voice actors were fantastic. All of that part of it. I thought it might have actually been Antonio Banderas doing the Spanish buzz, but it was not. It was whatever actor didn't even have a picture on IMDb. Jodie Benson,
Oh, that guy.
who did Barbie, is a fantastic voice actress and singer. She did Little Mermaid and other Disney early movies before they were bringing stars in to take over. So, but overall, it's a good movie. Like I said, the ending it didn't work for me. If and until watching it for a movie group, it didn't bug me. But watching it now, it's like, hey, this is some shit here. I don't buy. So, I do have a work related story to tell later that I will reserve till the end if it's all right. It's a
Hmm.
funny story.
No?
But that's what I
Um,
have on Toy Story 3.
Gotcha. So it sounds like this round of Toy Story 3 is ruining that movie for a few people. Good.
I
Um,
wouldn't say that's
what
strong,
was
ruin, but yeah.
All right. Next we are going to hear from Aaron.
I had never seen it. I thought it was great. I thought it was I I thought it was definitely better than one. To me, it was like, is it better than two? And it might be, but two, I don't know why, has a special place in my heart. Maybe we're because of my kids. Um, but yeah, I think this far and away the story structure, the pacing, like everything about it's better. The animation, obviously, I mean, you can't. It's and when we watched one, going back and seeing how the dog looked like carved wood and some other things just either didn't have texture or whatever. um the animation was fantastic. um I don't know why I'd never seen it. My wife has never seen it, and both my kids have seen it 100 times. We've never owned it. So I don't know if they were watching it at my sister's when she was watching them or where it came from, but they both couldn't believe that my wife and I hadn't seen it. She actually tried to leave to go grocery shopping with about 15 minutes left and ended up standing in the doorway between the living room and the kitchen. I was like, you should have just sat down. She's like, I know, my knee just gave out, you know. Um, but yeah, uh, I really liked it. I got sucked into it. Well, and I mean, I empathize with characters. I welled up more than once. The hand holding scene. I'm glad that other people brought that up because I was like, this. I felt weird at that one. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, I definitely, and she was in the room for that, and I'm like, what? No, look at the TV. Don't look at me. Um, don't ask me questions. I'm gonna break. You know, um, but yeah, I really liked, and you got the exact feeling. Not only did she have the similar toys, um, the little girl, having the Triceratops that was obviously from the same collection as Rex, um, and how she just played with them exactly the way that Andy played with them. Um, I have no problem with all of them going there. I think Woody just realized how ridiculous it would be to take a stuffed animal, and that's what Buzz is a stuffed animal. He is not an action figure. To college with it. Now I could take action figures. You just set them up and you display them in prominent positions, uh, having recreations of battles from the movies. But I mean, what are you going to do with a stuffed animal with a pull string? Nothing. Um, but yeah, you
Oh,
totally
wait. Did you? Maybe I
Yeah, you
heard it
screwed up.
wrong. I heard it wrong. You're saying Woody is a stuffed animal.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
I think
said
you
Buzz.
said
You
said
said
Buzz
that.
Buzz.
is a
Almost.
Oh,
stuffed
sorry,
animal.
I
That's
I meant
I'm
Woody.
like,
That makes
what?
In my rant.
Buzz fits action figure
Yeah,
way more than
but yeah, I don't like his
I
scale though. That
I got
that
what you're
large
saying.
scale is
his
for little
scale.
kids.
It throws it off. Of course. It's almost a
Aaron's
statue.
Aaron is bringing a lot into this conversation
Yeah.
of his own self right now. That's
Isn't
great.
that what we're supposed to? Isn't this the
Yeah.
trust tree
Yeah.
with the branches
That wasn't a judgment.
and the nest? But no, just I mean, I thought they set it up perfectly, showing how exactly like Andy that little girl was, and why not only Woody would want the other toys to go there, but he would choose to go there himself and fulfill what he's supposed to do, and that's to be played with. Not to go to college and like weirdly watch from across the room as Andy's nailing chicks. Um, you know, and then have nowhere to go.
I just kept thinking they were going to turn him into a bong.
Right. Whatever. He's gonna get like abused. It's not gonna be good.
He's going to be in the
Stay
corner
with
going,
children.
"Giddy up, partner."
Right.
That's the Toy Story 4 I wanted to see.
Right. Which
That
I
would have
haven't
been
yet.
that would have been great.
Toy Story for the college years.
What's
Nidar.
the statute of limitations to where the
Well, we have that. That's Ted.
Winnie the Pooh people can take over and
Yeah.
do their own version?
There you go.
They got about
But yeah,
50
Tim, you're
years
right. That
before
is
it's
Ted.
public
That's
domain.
like
Yeah, we have that movie.
yeah. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked, from top to bottom. I've seen Toy Story 2, and I didn't have the problem with Woody that I had with Woody in the first movie that we discussed that, came back to the surface, I guess, after we watched it, because I hadn't watched it in so long. Um, but I thought as far as the movie went, I thought it all made sense. I thought it was well written. Um, I liked how it all played out. Like I said, I thought it made sense, and they did a good. I thought they did a good job connecting the dots of keeping different parties motivated for different reasons. You can get into the Lotso stuff. Obviously went on a downward spiral bender of what happened, but you could see how it happened. I mean, being replaced, you know, um, and then just becoming evil, or I don't know if evil's the right term, but just where, you guys, basically she sucks. I'm protecting you guys, kind of, but that was also selfish. That was, I like bringing the connection up with Woody from the first movie.
One question for you real quick. The Lotso, do you think her parents said they found Lotso and gave it to the kid? Or did they buy a new one and told her they bought a new one?
No, they bought a
Like-
new one and played it off as we found Lotso.
Agreed.
Yeah, so
We've got a friend of the family that's got I think it's like a panda, and they have like 6 of them, and they're on like they're on like number 2 or 3. I think number 3. For when it gets too trash, they just swipe in a new one.
I'm thinking of a Everybody Loves Raymond episode where the hamster died and they try to buy a new hamster and play it off like it's the same hamster.
Yeah, I more plausible with a stuffed animal, but yeah, I mean, like, so with my Star Wars figures, like my stormtrooper was out in the sun and turned yellow. There's gonna be like kids are gonna know. You're
Yeah.
gonna know the feel and the smell and the whatever. I guess if they all smell like strawberries, which would be impossible to keep that long, I think. Um, but yeah, but they're kids. They're little kids. So, but yeah, I think it was swapped out to answer your question, Dan. And I don't think the kid knew. I think the kid thought it was theirs because she was really young.
When I was really little, I had this stuffed animals, this little dog that I just absolutely like adored. Like I wouldn't like go to sleep without the thing. And I remember one time I was in the car and my brother, as we were going down, 60 miles an hour down the highway, held it out the window. And I, at a very young age, nearly had a heart attack. Um,
Did he get
so
hereditary? Is that what happened? Is that where this is going? No, I'm the only one. Cool. Cool.
no. Um, I really enjoyed the as far as tying things together. Another thing I really enjoyed is all the callbacks. I really liked they had a lot of references to the first one, a lot of repeat lines, the whole scene at the beginning, and there are a couple of times where characters like basically say the line from like I know like Woody said a line that Ham had in the first one, and um I always kind of enjoyed that. All right, question for everybody. And I said this one last time. It might be a little. I think it'd be a little more interesting this time since there are so many more with the daycare and all these new characters. Does anybody have a favorite character, new or old, or even a new and old, if you'd like to expand it?
I think the baby stood out the most as kind of like the cool new thing in the movie. I would have been interested in that insect looking He-Man character. That would have been right up my alley. That would have been one, the third down the list enforcer if you want to go with Ken being, the top enforcer at the time. He kind of was like the right hand man. But I thought that was a cool looking character.
I like the octopus. It's pretty cool. We're gravitating towards the villains, but I think that's because there's so many of them that are new, right? Like if you're talking new, those are the new guys.
Yeah, I
It's
mean the
mis-
other one was a Shakespearean porcupine
I was
and
about to say. I was about to say that.
a
It's
Yeah.
stuffed animal unicorn.
like
I mean, we didn't have a whole lot to work with
like
for the good guys.
I was about to say. Everyone's crazy. It's Mr. Pricklepants. Timothy.
Mr.
Who
Timothy
is it?
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
James Bond.
Reciting Shakespeare and waxing all poetic. Yeah, it's got to be him. Plus, also he looks adorable. He's a hedgehog.
In Lederhosen.
Exactly.
It was something cool about the Triceratops being there so that dinosaurs have friends. Because he was always kind of the odd man out and his Rex, his arms never work for anything. He's always a problem. It's nice that he's got a friend.
It would have been cool to
Yeah,
see that message board though, to see what she was going back and forth.
It was a suggestion.
God,
It was a little dirty.
Yeah.
that cracked me. I love that. It's just a dinosaur. It's just a dinosaur. That I don't know why, but that always just cracked me up. I do like Trixie too. I think who's the actress that does the voice for her? I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Kristen Shaw, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I enjoy anything Kristen Shaw does, so that
Yes.
was probably part
She's
of
awesome.
it. But yeah. Anybody else?
I always like
The Army
Potato
Man.
Head because of Don
Yeah.
Rickles.
Yeah.
Don Rickles is hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved his line where they realized Woody was right, or Woody's right, and Jesse was just saying, he's like, "Oh my gosh, we were wrong," and Potato's like, "Yeah, she's right, Woody. She was wrong." All right. Up next, we are going to have Tim Larson. What do you got for us?
Okay, so I don't have the emotional connection to this series that some of you guys do. Like, I don't think, while I respect, like Hilty saying this is one of my favorite trilogies, it wouldn't even come up for me. Like, this is a great trilogy. I don't know why. It wouldn't come up for me. Um, so I'm gonna do a little bit of some little things and then talk about like the life that we're talking about here. In the first place, number one, tiny little thing. It's nice to have Joan Cusack in a movie without John Cusack. Can I just say that? It's just you hear her and you're like, hey, there's Joan Cusack, and where's John? So good for her. Two, we talked about the hand holding scene. That one bothered me that they got saved. It just kind of like, okay, desperate moment, and then all of a sudden a claw comes down. And what I thought of was the amount of times that the Eagles saved everybody in The Hobbit. I was like, all right, we got to the point where it's doomsday and there's nothing we can do. Oh, somebody saved us. It kind of felt a little bit like that.
It is totally a Deus Ex Machina, and yeah, it's absolutely it's pretty ridiculous, but also like, well, what are they gonna do? They're gonna let them die, cut to black, and then fade in the Schindler's
Look at
List
Dan, like,
music.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, let him die, let him die. He's nodding his head.
The
Uh,
Plot
first time I saw that, when
armor.
I saw this in theaters, there was a split second where I actually thought that, wow, they're actually doing this. And then, of course,
and it
Yeah, no, I
doesn't ruin
knew.
the movie. I don't want you to think it ruins the movie for me because it doesn't. It's just that's one thought that I had there was, the writing really put them up against it and then bailed themselves out of
I
it.
knew there was an episode 4, but my oldest son was walking through the room, and I kind of went like, "What's a giant claw from the?" And I went, "Oh, giant claw." So I knew what was gonna happen. And I
Yeah.
was like, "That just doesn't make sense." And he goes, "Well, it kind of does. If there was to be some type of obstruction in the burning pit, they would have to be able to get it out safely, and they could use that claw to remove, to keep the process going. I mean, at that point, it was getting kind of fantastical anyway, because what'd you have, about 11 different chutes dumping in?
Yeah.
And just the chute they were on was
It's quite an
dealing with,
elaborate
like, yeah,
dump. Yeah.
Well, and
yeah,
how much time had gone by? I
right.
mean, that was classic movie, like time stopped for them as they were getting closer and closer to the
Right.
thing.
Right. Um, I want to
that's
know
a
how the
total,
pros.
Aaron,
Go ahead.
that's a total shut up nerd
A
moment.
little
It's
bit.
like,
Hey,
A little
like
bit.
I like my son having
Yeah.
because he's the type, he thought about that probably as a kid. Why would that be there? And then, had
that's
to come up
fair.
with a reason. So
He
I'm
has a
like, yeah,
construct in his head now.
okay, I'm okay with it now. Thank you.
uh, the next thing for me, I'd like to know how the prospector's doing. Um, just last thing we saw the prospector, he's in a backpack with some little girl who's an artist, and we don't hear about him anymore. Kind of want to know how miserable his life is, and then that translates right to Lotso just being thrown on the front of the truck. I'm assuming he's still there, like he's just still there, keeping his mouth closed and trying to not to swallow flies and bugs. Um, I will now move to Woody, where we talked a little bit about him being selfish. And Aaron's line earlier was something about like, I want my time with Andy in the first movie. And then we don't see that as much in the third movie. And then there's the thing Brian brought up that he sneaks in the box to go with everybody. He actually has his ticket to spend time with Andy, although in college it would be weird, but he chooses not to go with it. So I think they actually show a little growth in Woody's character as far as the selfishness versus I'm part of the crew uh, type thing, which is kind of cool because he's a toy. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to see you could write this whole series and not show any personality growth for a toy because they're not growing. But they show a little personality growth, which I think is cool. Um, okay, so then I'm going to go to the life part. This is a complicated part of life we're talking about here. In this movie in particular, Andy is 17, has graduated high school, which is kind of the American rite of passage, right? A lot of different cultures have their own rites of passage, but this is kind of ours. And we took this cute little toys come alive story and turned it into what happens when you grow into starting to be an adult, which is a difficult time in life. Um, we're all talking about the fondness of the toys that we had, except for Dan, and like the transition from wanting to be around your toys to wanting to do other things in life is not a 1 day process, and it's not a today I realized I'm an adult. It's a gradual process that they're really doing a nice job of talking about in this movie without bringing it up. Like you just, hey, the circumstance changed for these toys and for Andy, and how are we going to deal with it? But they're really talking about what is it like to stop being a kid and start to be an adult. And so there's a pretty heavy theme in here, even though it's just sort of hinted at, that I like a lot. Um, I know, I talk about a lot. My favorite thing from my childhood is my grandfather. And so, when I went to college, I was still 17, and he passed away when I was 17. And I would say one of the last couple times I saw him, I was maybe 15 or so. Not saw him, but like went and spent time with him. And I remember him saying something to me like, "Well, you went and grew up on me." And what he meant was, we're not as close anymore because you're not a little boy following me around anymore. And I had grown on to enjoying other things like basketball and girls, and he was just voicing that it's different now. And I thought about that a lot because I lost him soon after that, and it's kind of the same story that we're telling here. You grow older, your life changes, the things that you get after change, and I think this movie or this series does a really good job of touching on this without blatantly saying it. And that's why that last scene is so powerful. Like this was so important to me as a child, but I'm giving it up because it's time for me to move on. And the emotional connections between Andy and these toys, even though he doesn't know that they're a little more live action than they're supposed to be, that's why it's so emotional. And I don't know of a whole lot of movies that have touched on this particular subject matter, and I really enjoy it for that. A couple of other notes. My sister had a really big doll, like this giant baby, like it was ridiculously big. And my sister picked a black baby, and this was very controversial in my house. My dad did not understand why my sister wanted to have this black baby doll, and there were two available, and my sister picked that one because she liked it better. And I just remember this being a controversial thing. um I'm gonna move on from there. The dad the dad doesn't exist, and what I thought was, if you wanted the dad to exist, he could be a Calvin and Hobbes type dad, because Calvin and Hobbes, his dad, every now and then just messed with him and said things to confuse him, as an adult would say to a kid, and then he had to react to him. Like, I don't know that dads are as good at encouraging imaginative play as moms are. And maybe that's a stereotypical thing, and maybe I'm way off, but I know that my mom would listen to me say stuff like, well, the G.I. Joe guys are at the top of the stairs and the Star Wars guys are at the bottom of the stairs. And so this is how this is going to go. And mom would, and my grandmother for that matter, would listen to it and go, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Where my dad would be like, can you get your shit off the stairs? Like, I got to walk up the stairs.
Better
So,
not trip.
yeah. So, I don't know. I think just picking having a mom but not having a dad around may have been as an encouragement for the imagination that you needed for the toys. But I'll just put it that way, and maybe I'm way off on that, but that's just kind of my thought. Um, so then I've just got one thing left on here, and I wrote down junk drawer. Um, we're talking about stuff that we kept, and Melo's saying he's got an Optimus Prime right now in his attic. Uh, Aaron still has the Star Wars guys. All of my stuff's gone, long gone, because of these damn kids. But I was thinking, junk drawer. Do we all have some stuff that we have no need to keep? It's never going to be useful, but you have some kind of an emotional connection to it. So it goes in one place, and it's usually a junk drawer. And it's like, I just can't get rid of this today. I can't throw it away, and I don't want to sell it. I'm just going to hang on to it, even though you know you're never going to use it again. And I thought of the junk drawer and how, like, there's kind of a sometimes you'll get rid of one thing and go, okay, it's time to get rid of that, but you won't get rid of another thing. So it's never like there's a, just tear off the band-aid and get rid of everything. It's a an organic thing where you're just like, now it's time to get rid of this, but I'm not ready to get rid of that one emotionally. I look at some of this toy stuff as a junk drawer thing, and maybe I'm just crazy, but um, those are my notes on this. I had seen it before, even though I thought I hadn't. I remembered every scene as I was watching them, which is weird. Maybe I was drinking that night. Who knows? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a fantastic movie. Um, and I like the themes about life that it hints at without blatantly saying. That's what I like about the movie and the series.
I do think, especially in this movie, those themes you're talking about are probably why it was received so well. Because anytime they're coming out with like, oh, they're making a new Toy Story, even back then it was like, okay, let's see what happens here, and then it just ended up being fantastic. But I think that was the thing that stuck out to me watching it again here and kind of remembering from last time was like, oh yeah, like that. This is why this movie was held in such high regard. Was because of those themes and that ending with like, the moving on, kind of letting go of some things, and like, everything you said. I agree.
Mhm.
Um,
For the record, I did. I don't know if I shed a tear, but I got misty at the end. I got emotional at the end. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking this is a coming of age story, but not like coming of age stories that you usually see. It's like a reverse coming of age story because the characters that you see most of the time on the screen aren't doing that, but their most important character to them is. That's what makes it very, very unique.
Well, and usually in a coming of age movie, when you think of it, it's like the step moving forward to where you're going, and this is kind of like the step that's behind that you're leaving behind. And
Yeah.
like, usually it's about, the chicks and the girls and the
Yeah.
beer, and this is all about
Innocence.
the before
And then
time. Yeah.
in the innocence,
Right.
right?
Yeah, more and I guess and there's a phrase that they use it's not leaving innocence or anything, but this is the step, you know, usually it focuses on where you're going and not what's getting left behind. So I never thought of it that way. That's pretty good.
Quick note. I think that Bonnie, the little girl, the new Andy, I think she's absolutely adorable. As far as any of the characters they made, I meant to say this earlier with the character thing. She's like maybe my favorite like new character on there because she's just such an adorable kid. And like she is very similar to Andy, but then she does kind of have her own little quirks, and she's just funny.
Well, and
Um,
you're talking about a movie that's about toys and it's a cartoon and you're not really looking for a lot of emotion. But in that scene when he's dropping off the toys, they do a really good job with her being shy and then coming out of the
Shy.
shell, that
Yes.
emotion. And
Yes.
then the horror when she tries to take Woody, it's a cartoon, but it's almost like a real emotion that Andy character has when he like snatches it back.
Hey, hold on a second here.
And like they did a good job with his face and stuff and the timing of the movements and I thought it was pretty good.
I agree. Matt Smith, take us home.
All right. Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself there for a second. Um, yeah, I really like this movie. It's not the first time I've seen it. I don't I don't remember if I was here for Toy Story. I must have been. Maybe I wasn't. Um, but it's a good story. I think I'm not going to add too much to this, so I'll try to be brief. But this was 15 years after the original Star Wars Toy Story, not Star Wars. We're not talking about Star Wars. This is 15 years after Toy
Yeah, if
Story
you want.
1. Uh So I think they did a nice job of, if you consider the type, if you figure 3 to 7, if that was sort of their main Toy Story. I mean, obviously you need parents and stuff, and there was older kids who liked it. But if you say 3, 4 years old to about 7, 8 years old, this is 15 years later. So that you're talking about people in a time of their life that are either going through what Andy's going through or just went through what Andy went through, right? So,
As I
sort of,
said.
yeah, exactly.
That was me.
Yeah,
And that was Hilty apparently too.
so I mean, what not that I'm sure they didn't do that on purpose. It's just kind of the way it fell, but like there had to be some notion of that when they're in the writer's room going, well, remember the kids who watch Toy Story are this age now, and we have to give them something to be nostalgic about, perhaps. They got the original voice actor for Andy to do Andy. So that
Oh, that's
also
cool.
is pretty impressive, and they had to like, they couldn't find him. They had to like, he stopped voice acting for a while. So they had to like call his answering machine and make sure that like and try to track him down. But he actually thanked them for calling him and doing it because he really wanted to do it. So
That's cool. Kind
yeah.
of heartwarming.
Well, yeah, and he's I guess I probably wouldn't have even paid attention to Andy's voice being, because how would you know? Like you wouldn't know it's the same kid or same person. It's not a kid anymore. Um but yeah, that's kind of neat. I
Is the
liked
Garbage
that
Man Sid's voice character? Did you do that
it
research?
is. It
Is
is.
it really?
Yes. So that's why
Case
everybody
closed.
assumes, yeah, everybody assumes that it's Sid. Um yeah, the you guys talked a little bit about animation and stuff from the first to the third. That's why Lotso wasn't in the first one, was because they couldn't do fur in 95. That's
Sure.
the lead, that's the general story about it. And they said the hardest thing to animate was the trash bags, just because of the way they stretch and reflect and yeah, weird stuff. I thought that was interesting. But no, yeah, no, I like this movie. I think somebody already said Lotso is a great villain. I think he is. Um, if you can, I mean, I don't even know why I'm saying this. It's a cartoon movie, but like suspending your disbelief a little bit on some of the weird plot points. I know, I know it's weird
What?
to say that, but you know what I mean? Like if you were watching a different movie and plot and stuff, there's a couple things where you just kind of go, okay, and to Hilty's point, shut up, nerd. Like it, you just got to
But
deal
you're
with it.
saying how much is too much?
Right. Yeah, sure. Right. I think at the end, the ending of I was watching the ending and I'm like, okay, how long does this conveyor belt take to put them in the thing? Because like this is taking a really long time. Like, can you just either do it or don't? Like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get saved, but why are we dragging this on so long? And then I don't know. I thought it was cool, the claw with the aliens, the call. But I don't know. I thought that was a fun way to do it. If you're gonna be ridiculous about it, at least make it fun and a callback to your original. So um
Matt,
yeah,
have you ever seen the 2012 movie?
2012 movie.
I think John Cusack's in that.
Oh, with all the earthquakes and
Um,
stuff.
Oh no, I don't
yeah.
think I have.
I've only seen it once, but there's this scene where there's like a little dog that's trying to like run across this thin little thing to get onto whatever boat or whatever is leaving. And, it's very suspenseful, and they drag that scene out forever. It's just like, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? Is he gonna? Okay, they're still doing this. Just make it or die already. Come on. Like, just
It
so I
was.
feel what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what it
That's what I
was.
was
It
thinking when you
was
said that.
you had to know Lotso was gonna betray him like right away when he helped, but Woody did the right thing, but Woody did the
Woody,
right thing, and
Woody.
so um yeah, I enjoy it. I don't think I'm, like I said, I don't think I'm gonna add too much other than what you guys had already said. I did find it interesting that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen asked to record together, which isn't common, I guess, in the animated world. You don't usually record with the other actors. And they did it on Toy Story 1 and said they wanted to do it again on this one. I thought that was interesting. Um, yeah, good pick. I don't. I had to have seen Toy Story 4. I have no memory of it, so to me, this was a perfect ending to the Toy Story
Yeah.
trilogy. Because I don't
Agreed.
remember 4, and I know 5's coming out next year, but and I'm sure I'll watch that one too. But this was a good ending. I think they did a good job um, with it and really kind of passed the torch, even though they then tried to take it back and unpass it. But whatever. Oh, I also heard Bo Peep wasn't in the end scene because she was porcelain and she never would have made it as far as the other toys. She would have been broken.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
So they just
That's
completely
very
No
enlightening.
one
That's an
brought that
enlightening
up
comment.
early
That's
at
very
all
good.
in
Thank
this
you, man.
recorded audio podcast.
Anyway. So anyway, that's it. I got nothing else. I got nothing else to add. No original thoughts at all to add. All my thoughts
No,
were
that
original.
was good. Does anybody have like a something they enjoy from this? I'm only asking this because I want to make a comment myself. So this is really a selfish question. But does anybody have like kind of a um guilty pleasure type thing in this movie that they enjoy that they're like, this is probably stupid, and I bet maybe a lot of people were driven the wrong way with this, but I can't help it. I enjoy it as far as some aspect of this movie.
That's a
I don't
very
know. I don't know if
specific
it
question.
qualifies to all of that, but the Cool Hand Luke moment I thought was kind of fun, especially for this group.
What's the cool hand Luke moment? I'm not.
Um, you fall out of line.
Oh, yeah. You spend a night in the box.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
I
I,
I couldn't help myself. I really like Spanish Buzz. It was
yes.
like when it first happened, I was kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? But they were just, I don't know, it was just too comical. The way they played it off was really good.
They
Did we
committed
all-
to the bit very well.
Did
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
watch through the credits and see the
Mhm.
extra scenes?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
that comes up in the extra scenes. And is her name Jessica, or Jess something?
Yeah.
Jesse.
Uh, Jesse makes sure that she lets everybody know she knows how to flip the switch. So there's some Spanish dancing toward the end of the credits and some dipping and stuff, and then it's very clear that she was being manipulative to enjoy some romance.
I didn't get that. I mean, I got it when I was supposed to. The punishment of going to the box. I didn't. I mean, it made so much sense. It was the sandbox.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, "Oh, it was just me and some Lincoln logs."
Those aren't
Those were
Lincoln
Lincoln logs. I really like that. And he comes back covered with sand. I'm like, oh, he was stuck in the sandbox. He was outside. So, but then
Yeah.
the Lincoln logs made it funny. I liked how they showed when Ken was running the caterpillar room, other than Lotso. I'm like, there's still going to be animals in this too, but they showed it like trying to rotate the people out and giving them breaks and stuff like that. I mean, it was that would be good management. Taking a bad situation and making the best that you could out of it. So I thought that was kind of cool, showing that how he tried to make improvements in a real fucking
Also,
nightmare situation.
a couple of those, like one of them gets thrown under when they do like the tag out thing. Those are two of like the henchmen.
Right.
So like they're volunteering at the
Well,
end, like all of
and
them.
that's what I thought at first too, was, oh, the tables have been turned and, you know, other people have taken over and now they're being punished and they're just going to get ripped apart, but they weren't. They were kind of all working together to try to make it work. So for a kids movie, I kind of like that idea.
I like that too.
They brought back the dog, and I thought that was a nice touch. And not only is the dog there, but the dog is just he doesn't look too good, but he's still adorable. So I did like that part.
It
That's-
made me sad, but I loved what they did when, oh shit, what was its name?
Buster.
And he
Buster.
calls,
Buster?
whistles and Buster, and you think he's gonna come tearing in the room, and he's just
like,
It's just, he
hey
just
man,
kinda-
like,
that's all I
oh,
got. That's all I got.
Buster
So
Buddy. You know, he just
that-
want to rub him.
you guys, that reminds me of something I wanted to bring up. You know, Stranger Things, these kids just keep getting older, the actors, and they have to add age into Stranger Things. Um, this one, we see characters getting older, even though it's animated. And then you think of The Simpsons, and Bart is still the same age he was in 1990 when this shit started. So
What's your
it's
point?
it's interesting that sometimes you can get away animated with, well, we're always just going to say stay the same age, but then in other animated avenues, we're going to go, you know what? We're going to go with getting older. And I like that they went with getting older, and Buster's a perfect example of that. And you know, the issue with Andy becoming an adult is I mean, pretty key in this movie. I like that they went with getting older with toys that don't. I mean, that's the really nice um, life circumstance that gets difficult for the characters here. It's cool.
Well, even his sister becoming, you know, a mouthy teenager, you know, or a preteen or
Right.
whatever she, you
Yeah,
know.
she's great. Get out of my room. Don't touch my stuff. I'm taking all of this as soon as you leave.
I did also. So Ham's one of my favorite characters, and Ham doesn't get a whole lot to do, but even just at the beginning, when when Barbie's being put in the donation box, where Jesse's like, "Oh no, poor Barbie," and Ham's like, "I get the Corvette." Just he does stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just love stuff like that.
Let's make it a pizza delivery. How about a ham sandwich? That's two. That's not this movie. That was two. I watched too many of these in the last couple of weeks.
If I may tell my story now
Oh,
that I don't know if you guys have heard of the concept of fish in work, funding your workplace. It's a little book that came out years and years ago. And they actually went and did a tour, and they would go to people's businesses, or in our area, they rented out a place and got a lot of agencies to show up for this fish theory and work and having fun in the workplace. And they asked us, you know, does anybody have a story of something fun in the workplace? And um, I'm probably 28, 29 years old. I'm thinking, or somewhere around there. But Toy Story had just come out, and a guy from the hospital, local hospital, starts talking about, you know, has anybody seen Toy Story and the characters in it? And what we do to have fun is somebody brought in a Woody doll, and they'll hide it places. So next thing you know, you open a cabinet and there's a Woody in your face. And I couldn't help. I'd lose it. And then he's going on and keeps talking about other places where you open and there's a Woody in your, and I'm just like in tears. And my boss is looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And so finally I lean over and I said, a Woody's another word for a boner. And my boss, knowing who I am, she just slaps me and just like, shut up, you know? Like, but this, it was, whenever a Toy Story comes up in any way, shape, or form, I always remember this guy and this guy straight face, just trying to keep tell this story. Like, and there are giggles going around the room. So it's not just me. I maybe was to the extreme, but there were other people just get, and he's thinking that he's just adding something to this idea. It's like, buddy, you're talking about boners and you just don't get it. So,
Well, everybody, thank you for watching Toy Story 3 with me this week. I appreciate it. I'm glad I got to share this with you guys. For those of you, I don't know who hadn't seen it yet, but I'm glad you got to see it. And yeah, I don't know. That's if anybody has any other thoughts, then fantastic. Otherwise, you know, Tim, you do your thing.
yeah. I'm glad you picked it because I reflected more on just life in general than the movie itself, and I always like when a movie does that for me. So the next pick would be Aaron's pick, except he and Matt switched as Matt was on vacation, and then he completely stole the opportunity for Matt to pick Whiplash. And man, did we almost talk about that without Matt even being here. We were so close. But Matt, you have to have been waiting for this moment for quite some time. So your pick, Matt.
I don't understand why I would be waiting for this moment, but
I thought you had some diabolical screw job
Yeah,
coming on me.
that's what I would do.
no,
We're gonna watch
I,
Star Wars.
That's right. That's right.
No, so I decided very early in the process to pick a Val Kilmer movie because obviously Val Kilmer just passed away. And I went back and forth on this, kind of debating like, do I watch, do I do a classic or something maybe a little off? So I'm just gonna do it. I know most of us have seen this, but I am gonna pick what I declare and me only. I will say it's my opinion only, not the opinion of BTB Movie Club.
Gonna have
His
to back this
greatest
up
role,
next week.
his greatest role ever,
Mhm.
Tombstone. We're gonna
Yeah.
watch Tombstone this week. And I know a lot of us have seen it, but it's a movie group, and this seems like it would be on the list of things we should have watched. So
Matt, that is the correct answer. So you're all
yeah.
good.
So yeah, it's one of my favorites. I think it's his best role. With all due respect to some of his other stuff. So we're gonna watch Tombstone this week. I believe it is free on Amazon Prime when I looked last. So if you have that service, it should be free
Good
for
pick,
you.
Matt. You are, in fact, a daisy. We will be watching Tombstone. Have a good week, everyone.
That'll do it for this episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you as always for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Have yourself a great week. We are partnered with the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.